The title is Algebra, and for algebra, we're looking at solving equations. So we did kind of some algebra before with polynomials, and we're going to use that ideas as we go and solve equations. So now we want to figure out what does x equal. Okay, that's kind of what we're trying to solve. Right. So for solving equations, we have what x equals. The equal sign is very important. It's like the middle of a balance. Okay. You want to keep the equation balanced or keep it equal. So if here's your balance, it's like a teeter-totter, and there's your fulcrum in the middle. Okay, so it's balancing on this little triangle here. Now this can be balanced, but if you do a change on one side, like add, subtract, multiply, or divide, then you need to do the same change on the other side. Otherwise, it's not balanced. So for example, if I have a plus 3, and I want to remove it, if I subtract 3 on the left side, then I must subtract 3 on the right side. Okay? Then this is removed. And you're still in balance. Okay? So you want to remove the plus 3, so you minus 3. What you want to do is you want to remove by doing the opposite. So the opposite of plus is minus. The opposite of multiplication is division. Okay. Now when we're doing this, so that's one idea that can really help us stay focused and make sure we're not making errors. The idea of balance. Another thing to do is think of it like the equation's like an onion that you want to unwrap. You want to peel the layers of the onion off, starting with the big stuff that's easy to remove and then going to the middle. Okay? So to help peel it off, you want to do reverse BEDMAS. So the first thing you're actually going to do is look to remove stuff by adding, subtracting. And the very last steps, you'll look to remove stuff by division and multiplication. And 99% of the time, it's going to be division. Okay, division will be your last step 90% of the time. Okay? So, what you want to do, first of all, add, subtract, then remove. Add, subtract, then multiply or divide. So, those are two ideas that can really help you focus when we're doing this. Let's start with the hard equation first. Then when we get to easier equations, it'll kind of make sense why we're showing the work the way we are. So let's start with something really simple, like 2x plus 3 equals 15. Now, just want to pause here. If I say x plus 2 equals 5, what's x? 3. Like you've been doing that since grade 4. The problem is, if you do that now, you're not understanding how to solve the harder questions. Okay? So that's why I'm starting with the harder question. Then when we go to easier ones, get the basics down really well so you can get the harder ones right. So what we want to do here, okay, this is what you're doing. Okay, so what you want to think is you want to remove the plus 3. So what you do to remove a plus 3 is you minus 3. So I'm going to subtract 3 from the left, but it's not balanced. It's not balanced now. What do I have to do? Do the exact same thing on the other side. Now I'm balanced, and below this total line, okay, These guys cancel out, and I'm left with 2x equals what? 12. So your equal sign should line up. Okay? You want to work vertically. Your equal sign should line up. Now we have 2 times x. What's the opposite of times? Good. So you want to think remove the times 2. So what we do is we divide by 2. Now with algebra, you don't use your division sign anymore. We show our division as a fraction. So divide by 2, divide by 2. Why did I do that to both sides? To balance it, to keep it equal. Right? If you just change one side, you wreck it. Okay? And so then we get x equals 12 divided by 2, 6. And again, your equal sign should line up. X equals 6. Okay? Now what you're going to do in your homework is you're going to do something called a check. That's going to be the instructions. So what you do is you start by writing your original equation. 2x plus 3 equals 15. And as soon after you write that down, you want to put down the Great Wall of Check. Okay? So, Great Wall of Check. Now you can't cross the equal sign. So we have x equals 6. We substitute that in for x. And so we get 2 times what? 6 plus 3, and 15 stays on the right side. Okay. Then we get 12 plus 3, and then we get 15 and 15. We do a check mark. Left side equals the right side. The more effort you put into your checks, the better you're going to understand it, folks. Okay. So, the rules that we followed, following this method and ideas, number 1 is do the opposite to remove items, okay, or terms, whatever you want to call it, okay. And the second concept was balance. Okay? You want to keep it equal. And so whatever you change on one side, you need to change on the other side. Okay? Now, always start with add, subtract, and then you're looking to multiply, divide. Okay? So that's what we want to do. If you can do those 3 things, you can't get a question wrong. All right? But we're going to test you, and we're going to challenge you a little bit. Okay. Any questions? How many people think they got this? All right. So we're going to start with a super easy one now. X minus 3, okay, equals negative 4. Okay. Show work, please. I don't want the answer. I want the work, because that's what we got to use with the harder ones. Okay, we're going super simple now, just so that you're right on target. What do you want to get rid of, folks?
3.
The minus 3, so we should add 3. Do that to both sides. And so what are we left with? X equals negative 1. Okay. Question number 2. 3 plus x equals negative 10. Okay. So what we have to do is look in front of the 3. What's in front of the 3? Is it plus 3 or minus 3? Plus. So by looking in front, we decide that it's a minus 3. And what does x equal? Negative 13. How many people got this? Perfect. So then there's a couple other situations we got to be aware of. Number 3. Okay. 3x equals negative 6. Hard to make this one hard. Haha, hard. Okay, so 3 times x. How do we get rid of the times? Divide by 3. And so we get x equals negative 2. Okay, so for the easy questions, you just got to write down a bit of work. If I just see answers, I'm going to freak out. Okay, you got that, you work skippers? Barker's going to freak out, lose it, more gray hair. It's even worse than it is now. Okay, number 4. Okay, so let's go x divided by 7 equals 2. Now, I really made it easy on you because I actually said what it was. A lot of you might look at that and think it's a fraction. I see a division. Right? What's the opposite of divided by 7? Times. Now, you can write that at the back or at the front. Okay, so I just use a multiplication dot, times 7, times 7, and so x equals 14. That one's a little bit weird, isn't it? Now we have the weirdest of all. This is the weirdo of the weirdo. Star it. Okay. 3x equals 12. Okay, you're going to get a fraction. I did that on purpose. Okay. So, what we have 3 divided by x. X is in the basement. Who likes getting locked in the basement where the spiders are? No one. A little creepy down there. So how do we get x out of the basement? Flip it's right. You could do that if this was 12 over 1, which you could do. There's another way as well, though. Let me say it to you. 3 divided by x. Divided by x. Multiply by x. So we times this side by x. Are we balanced? No. What do we have to do to the other side? Times by x. So we get 3 equals 12 times x. That's the first step. Now which question does it look a lot like? This one right here, above it, right? It's reversed, doesn't matter. So instead of 12 times x, what do? Divide by 12. And so we get x equals 3 divided by 12. Is that a good answer? What should we do with our fraction? Lowest terms. So we should get 1 over 4. 1/4. Okay. Now that's the hard one. You don't see 5 very often.
So I guess to leave it in a fraction, make it in a decimal.
Fraction. Yeah, fraction. Okay. If I gave you decimals, then give me decimals. If I don't give you decimals, usually leave it in a fraction. Okay. Most questions you won't have that because they're really cooked up, but there's a few that I do on the board and stuff and on a quiz where fractions are common. And I'll try and let you know about those. All right. Any questions? Ready for the harder stuff? Good. So let's do this one. Your instructions are going to be solve and check. You'll see that in your homework today. Solve and check. 2x minus 3 equals 9. What do we got? Any ideas? X equals 6. Hands up if you got that. Oh, okay. What'd you do, Sydney? Good. Awesome. Second 2x equals what? 12. Good. X equals 6. Awesome. Now, you guys all got that, which is great, but say you're like me and don't really know what they're doing. What you got to do now is do a check. Okay, so let's do a check real quick. I'm going to start with the original question. 2x minus 3 equals 9. And I substitute in. Okay, don't forget to make the Great Wall of check so you don't cross the equal sign. These are going to get more complicated, okay, and you'll want to cross. Don't cross, all right? It's like the Berlin Wall. Oh, sorry, you guys are too young for that. Oh, it's like North Korea, South Korea. You don't cross over. There you go. Okay?
We know about the Berlin.
There you go. Well, you might have read about the Berlin Wall, but you weren't alive then, so. Okay, go for it. Substitute in, do your check. Okay, don't forget about the bottom. Left side equals right side check. That's just to get you thinking about what we did. Okay? Yep. Did I screw up? Oh, good. Okay. So, we're going to give you a really, really, really super duper unbelievable hard one this time. 2x plus 3x minus 4 equals 21. Oh, wow, that's crazy, crazy. I don't know if you guys are ready for that. How many x's do you have altogether? 2 and 3, 5x. So for this question, you need to collect like terms first. So it's a bit of an exception of what we've done all along. Now, does it look any different than what we've done? No. Go ahead and solve this. Go.